Perfect. Oh, and Chance brought help. Awesome.
No,
All right,
I didn't bring help. He decided he wants to help a little bit.
Well, that's fine. He's jumping into the fray. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Introducing both of you to Chance Moore and to Amy Bonner. I believe Amy's got a little bio information at the start of the presentation. But as I mentioned, both have experience at the professional level. Both are local. These are officials that are dear friends and mentors to all of us from the Kansas City area. Amy, a longtime women's basketball official at the collegiate level, professional level, international level. And I'm going to say it because I'm so blessed, excited that Amy Bonner will be a female official on the men's side of the Big 12 this year. So an incredible designation for her this year. So excited to see that come through. And Chance has been on the Big 12 staff and Missouri Valley, as well as the G League for several seasons also. So these two spend a lot of time because understanding their supervisors, editing and evaluating their own film. And we are grateful to have them share some of their insights and how the level of detail they go into when they review game film. So Chance, Amy, welcome.
Thanks for having us. Chance, I'm just going to go ahead and share this screen. The idea here is, and it is 2020, so keep that in mind. So whatever we have planned may go awry. But I'm going to run through a PowerPoint that we've put together just to talk about some fundamentals and lead us into then some plays. I have a couple plays to break down and how I look at it. And if someone sent me a video, how I would break down just overall game film, maybe not a specific singular play, but just looking at film. And then Chance has several plays where we'll look at specific individual plays and what his thought process are and how we would evaluate how that play is officiated and the key points that we're looking for. So if that works for y'all, I will try to share this screen right now. All right, are you guys able to see that?
Yes, okay. Looks good.
Right, so I know everybody was speaking quickly earlier. I will probably double that. It's my nature anyway, and I kind of want to blow through some of this so we can get to the play. So if you have questions about any of it, hold tight. We can get to those at the end. And then if you have something in this that you want to go back and reference, reach out to Ben or Larry or John, and we can find a way to get this information to you. So as we start, we're just going to do a quick introduction for those of you that don't know us. And Larry actually gave us a glossy review for both of us. We don't need a lot of time there. We'll talk about the path and then again to some of those plays. For me, I started officiating in college for beer money. That's really what it was. I needed to make some money and I couldn't have a full-time job. Right place, right time, got into Division II here locally, D1, been fortunate enough to go to a couple Final Fours, and like Larry had said, I'm making the transition. So even with my advanced age, I am a rookie again, and it's pretty exciting. So Chance is my mentor on this, and it's been a fun process. D-League, FIBA, WNBA, I've kind of touched a little bit across all aspects of basketball. So I've kind of seen how this video technology has changed since I started. And I know this is the whole walk uphill and to school in the snow, but literally I used to take a VHS tape, and there's probably people on here that don't even know what that is, and a self-addressed stamped envelope, and hope that a school sent it back to me. So when we start talking about video review, it's amazing that you have this resource. So if you're just starting, or if you're in a spot where you really want to try to advance your skill set, video is the place to be, and it's so accessible now. Chance's path is so, he started in 2007, but really he had this in his blood. Like, he was officiating from the womb. So he has been around officiating his entire life. 3 short years in high school, and he was in the state tournament, and then immediately gets to D1, has been in the Big 12 for 6 years, and last year, Prior to COVID, he had his first Big 12 tournament and his first NCAA tournament. And that's really an exciting thing. And unfortunately, COVID probably snatched one from him this year, but he's got many more to come. Chance also is in the G League, and so he's got that pro influence as well. So we both really rely on video. And as we talk about our paths, you know, everybody's got a different path. So just be yourself. Don't worry about the fact that Chance got to the state tournament in 3 short years, or
but then I never went back.
I never worked at a state tournament. So, you know, everybody has your own path. So don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Be yourself. If you want to be successful in this business, like anything else, you have to be willing to do the work. If you don't want to do the work, don't be upset when you don't get the assignments. I mean, just own it. And the hard part about this is just being honest with yourself. And we're not always good at that, but if you want to improve, you really have to be able to stand naked in front of the mirror when you look at these plays. And then the other kind of disappointing part of this is when you do have success, there's no big corner office to go kick your feet up on the desk and think big thoughts. You've got to work harder. There's always someone that's going to push you. And if you take it off or you think you've got it made, a game is going to jump up and bite you in the tail. So not to be a Daisy Downer here, but this is a lot of work. But if you have the passion for it, like most of us on this call do, that work's fun. So embrace it. So I absolutely hate golf. Chance loves it. But for me, there's a big parallel in success in officiating and success in golf. You know, golf is all about the long drive, the putts, the accurate chip shots. But the piece of it that relates to officiating is that none of these things have to do with what anyone else around you is doing. Your drive is your drive. And your chip shot and your putting, that is all about what you do and the work that you do to get better in those things. And officiating is the exact same thing. You have to focus on your skill set. And look, we've been around long enough, Chance and I, to know it's easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing and what games John is giving to official A or official B. If you get caught up on that and you focus on that, it's going to take energy away from you focusing on your own skill set, and your chipping and your putting and your officiating and your positioning and your play call accuracy won't get better. So just really try to stay in the path of what you can do to help you get better. So as we talk about getting better and having success, you know, we could do an hour on 20 different subjects that will help you be successful in officiating, not just positioning and not just video work, but communication and handling your business and being professional. So this isn't the only thing you have to do to be successful, but this is a fundamental thing. And it doesn't matter which league. It doesn't matter if you're doing high school, you're doing college, you're doing international, you're doing pro. This fundamental has to be there across every aspect and every level of officiating that you do. You have to have your rules knowledge. And that's easy. If you're a young official, you can control the amount of effort and you can control how well you know that rule book. You can't control the number of plays that you've seen or the coaching interactions, but you can control the rules knowledge. So hit the books. Positioning and obviously decision-making are important in your success. And then as we're gonna get to the video breakdown and analysis. I'm big on the rules, so I always put that in as a part of almost any presentation I do. These are the rule books that are sitting on my desk right now, and I go through all sets every season. So just get in there and keep doing it. And if you've been doing this for 20 years, don't let up on this part. I mean, the supervisors are counting on you to know the rules. You have to know your primary areas of responsibility and positioning, which we're going to get to. Like I said, I'm going to kind of jump through some of this.
Amy, let me cut in.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, on that rules part that she's talking about, she's a little bit neurotic about it, over the top about it, but the amount of preparation she puts in with the rules makes it more comfortable when she steps on the floor. It's the same thing with our video review. You know, nothing's going to arise with Amy that she's not going to think, oh, I read that. And not only did I read that, I've read it multiple times. I didn't understand it the first time, but then I read it again. So especially the young referees on the call, that's a way. My dad always told me, you got to know the rules. You got to get in the rule book. You have to. I mean, even when I was refereeing games for $20 a game, he's like, something's going to happen. And if you're not prepared, then it's going to come and bite you. So I've been on top of the rules as well. She keeps me more on top of them than I am. But being a young referee, the older referees expect you to know the rules. And if they've been through, you know, now I've been through probably 8 changes, and my dad's been through 25 changes. And that's every other year, something's changing. So we need to stay on top of it, especially as young referees. Just stay on top of the rules constantly, because it's going to make you more comfortable when you step onto the floor and something does happen that you haven't seen but maybe have read.
Yeah, and that's how you make your bones, right? That's what you can contribute to a crew if you don't have all the experience. All right, so now we get to this part about, you know, where do we go? And, you know, you have to, the mirror, the reflection you see, that's your competition. And we all know this scenario. We all see there's an official out there, probably more than we care to admit, that's looking in the mirror and they see that 12% body fat. They think that they look amazing. They think that they get every call right. And if this is the reflection that you see, you're not going to get any better. And I think that officials that have success probably err on the other side of this. You know, you're always trying to get better. You don't think this is quite good enough. And so, you know, flip this image around if you want to be a successful official. And part of that is, you know, as we start doing this video work, is watching as many plays as possible. Your games, other people's games, but in particular, look at your games. You're trying to build a library of plays so that when you see that play out on the floor, you've seen it 16 times on video, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. I know what that looks like. This is what we're supposed to do with it. You have to watch your games work if you want to figure out how you get better. The thing that's, and we'll hit on this again, but something that's important to me on video breakdown is finding trends. Yeah, I like to get every play right. That's a nice trend. That's not the reality. But I'm trying to find spots in my game where, oh, that was just not a one-off where I got out of position. Maybe at lead, I'm too closed down on certain types of plays, and I identify that trend and work on it going forward. And then, like we say, you have to be honest in evaluating yourself on all aspects of this. All right, so a couple things before we get to the plays. Like, if you haven't really done a lot of video breakdown, I think the first thing people think of is just call validation. Did I get that block charge play right? Okay, that's a tiny piece of this. What we're really doing with video breakdown is looking at the why we got it wrong, or, oh, I got lucky, what happened there? You're trying to figure out the why, not, great, I got lucky, correct call. Again, we're looking for patterns, and we're going to develop a plan. The picture in this is a little notebook. I've got these little notebooks, and this is a page from last year, and I just put 1 or 2 things at the top of the page that I want to work on in that game. And it can't be more than that. It's got to be 1 or 2 or you'll get lost. And then after the game, I come back in and it doesn't take long. It's a minute, 2 minutes. Yes, I was able to fix my charge signal. Or I give myself a little plus if I busted the position from trail to lead. And in this case, I did it really well in the first half, so-so in the second half. And so I just have a little cue for me walking into a game and then that self-evaluation coming out of the game. It just helps me keep on track. And then when you're going to sit down and do a breakdown, and I don't break down, and I don't think Chance breaks down every play of every game. We don't have time. But maybe once every 2 weeks, I'll do a breakdown of an entire game. Or I can promise in every game, there's a couple plays that we look at. But like this year, I'm going to be new to the staff. I'm probably going to look at a lot more of my games from top to bottom and kind of do that deep dive. And so as I start that process, some of the things I'm going to look at is the initial position I take on the floor for each possession. And Al Batista, who's a scout, referee scout in the NBA, he always talks about the pause button. You have to have like a super active pause button when you really do a deep dive and breakdown video. So just stop it and look at your initial position. Do you like where you're at? Where are your eyes? We've all heard the term ball watching. We've all done it. We've all worked with people that do it. You have to be very critical of yourself. What are you looking at? What should you be looking at? And why are you not looking there if you aren't where you need to be? And then we look at our position adjustments. It's 10 players moving all over the place. We have to move within our position on the floor as well. Again, we're going to look at the decision on the play. That is part of it, but a small part. And then also you have to evaluate your presentation and your presence. A lot of this is salesmanship out there. So you want to be able to evaluate that aspect of this as well. And then back to the trends and then take them into your next game. So Joey Crawford's one of my favorites, but he said this summer, to know where you're going, you got to know where you are. And so just like the guy in the mirror that's a little fat, if you want to get into that bikini for swimsuit season, you need to know if you need to trim the fat a little bit. Or, if you've lost a step, where you need to work on your strength or your speed. So with all that being said, Chance, you have anything before we jump into plays?
No. I was going to touch on, actually, yes. Something you said about, you touched on not being able to control the amount of plays that we see, like as much court time as you're doing. Right when I started refereeing, not everybody, but my dad would always say, you're good, but you need to see more plays. You need to see more plays. And in my mind, I was refereeing everything I could referee. So how am I supposed to see more plays? How can I speed up my progression? And it was watching film. So not only watching my games, but like you said, watch other people's games, watch people's games that you respect, guys that are good. And we all watch it from a referee's perspective, but watch it from all 3 positions. Pause, go back if you're at your house by yourself. Go see why they called what they called. If they missed something, see why they missed it. And then don't judge them for missing those plays or judge us for missing those plays, but put it into your mind and treat it as though it happened to you. Because if you treat it as though it happened to you, you are seeing those plays. People tell you, you're good, you need to see more plays. Well, I'm going to put myself in position to see more plays, and that video was the only way to do that.
And it's so accessible now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can download off of Synergy or Huddle, you can download any game that you want almost. So there's no excuse to not look at plays. All right, let me see if I can get out of this real quick. Bear with me. Okay, and then I'm going to try to share. Let's see if we can do this.
Hey, you guys, you want to check those questions as we go, Larry? Or did you want to do that at the end?
We can hit some right now while I'm trying to pull this up.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Larry, I can't hear you. I don't know.
There we go. Trying to take the pressure off of Amy here. Here we go. Got it.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
You bet. Let's see. Yes, Gordy, the mini Fox 40 electronic whistle has a belt clip. It also has a flashlight in case the lights go out in the gym.
I had that happen. In the Bahamas, all the power went out in the entire island while we were on the floor.
To date me here, Curtis Shaw was an official at UConn when the lights went out, and I had to walk him into the back room to make a phone call to Art Highland about what do I do? The lights are off at Gamble Pavilion.
Oh, so, I bet he loved that too.
Yes, one of my first Curtis moments. And how can we watch games? I'll leave that to Patrick on from a KSOA standpoint. And then how would you go about finding a mentor? I believe that's also part of what we're doing in the KSOA. I believe Dean Pierce and others are on tonight, I think, but I'll just say from a mentoring standpoint, if John doesn't mind me saying so, it's not so much, you can have designated mentors. I was very fortunate to have a gentleman by the name of Josh Tiven, who worked game one of the NBA finals this year as my designated mentor back in Connecticut. But a lot of times you just migrate to people, and to migrate to someone who handles the game properly. We've got two of them on here tonight, but somebody who is at your, someone you interact with, someone whose game you look at and say, boy, they handle that right. Someone who handles their business correctly with John, someone who's a trusted partner of others, and someone who just covers a lot of those details correctly and that you click with. Not everyone jives with every teacher or mentor. And that's really important along the way, just to see as you cross paths with people and who wants to talk shop a little bit, as I know I do with Amy and Chance a fair amount, and you find who those people are. Because some people just aren't as into it, and others would welcome it. So that's the best that's the best advice I can give on it.
And yes, absolutely. And to further that, I was born with my number one mentor, who's my dad. So that you get. Then I put myself out there, and when I was too young to rent a car, he took me to camps. And one of the guys at the camp who I was fortunate enough he saw me and just kind of grabbed onto me. He was a 25-year NBA referee, so he did it. And then my third mentor, and now one of my best friends, I worked a game with him, never met him before, worked a game with him, thought that we, clicked personality-wise. And I called him and pretty much asked him to go steady. I was so nervous. I was more nervous to call him and ask him if he could pretty much be my boyfriend. And way more nervous to do that than I've been to ask out any girl in my entire life. So some you'll luck into, like I did with my dad. Somebody will see you and just see potential and be willing to help. And then another way is asking, and not everyone's going to be as willing to help as my third was with me. But he literally just said, yeah, I've never had anybody ask me to do that before. So he also felt like he was going out with me, but he said yes. And like I said, he's one of my best friends in officiating today.
Yeah, I think it's important for young officials to understand that you just don't pick someone to be your mentor. You don't just go, oh, yep, June Courteau or J.D. Collins, I want you as my mentor. It's about developing relationships, and that's what Chance is talking about. You have to find someone that you feel comfortable with, and it is a little bit of a it's like any other relationship. You send someone a video clip and professionally ask them if they mind giving you an opinion or a rules situation, or how do I handle this with the supervisor? And over time, that relationship grows and you become more and more comfortable and you start sharing more plays. But you can't just decide that Larry Hare is your mentor. It's not that simple. It's a relationship building situation. So that means you have to take some initiative. So just keep that in mind. That's another thing we could do an entire session on in this business. But back to the task at hand. So this first play I'm going to throw up is just, it's from a FIBA tournament I did last February. And if someone said, hey, help me break down my game tape, this is how I would do it. So this is, I'm going to let this play. And just like you brought it to me and I said, okay, this is what we do. So it's the first 2 minutes of the game, like nothing's going on yet. So we're just, and tell me, Larry, if this drags too much. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna let it go. And there's no call that's going to be made on this play. There's no call. So this is what I do. I'd go back and I'd start it. And I'd go, okay, we're in transition. I'm over there at center, sorry. And I'm just going to freeze it and go, all right, am I in the right position? And what am I looking at? All right, well, I'm at center. I know my primary responsibility is the middle third of the floor. I'm trying to find my matchups. And I know that, let me see if I can draw on here a little bit. I know that this player is very active, and I know that this player is probably going to come down and set a screen. And so I just look to see if I'm paying attention to that on the floor. We come down, and I don't know, can I make that bigger? Maybe not. Now my primary's changed. And so I'm going to ask myself, am I in the right position? And am I looking at the right things here? And that self-talk that we do on the floor, again, a whole nother session we could do. On the floor, I'm going, who's going to hurt me? Like, I know that I have this on-ball matchup, but that's not competitive. So I'm not so worried about that. But I am looking to see if this player is going to set a screen. And I'm also aware of this matchup down here. And it's hard to see, and I'm sorry I can't blow that up. But if you could look at my eyes on there, you would see that I'm kind of looking at the task at hand, which is this screen. So, I feel good about this right now if I'm looking at my own game tape, or if this is your tape I'm looking at. All right, it doesn't clear. Another thing about this, and Larry's heard this before, and that's why I like this, part of this is also that presentation and what you project on the floor. I think if you don't know me and you're a coach, I look cocky as hell right here with this little peacock stance. And I can tell you, like, I feel good out there because I'm skinny as hell. I've been working my ass off all season preparing for this tournament. And I feel good out there, and so I'm showing it. But if I really want to break that down and be honest, if these coaches don't know me, that could come off very arrogantly. Or if it's the first time I've worked with either of these partners. So, you take it for what it's worth, and you see if this is the only time in the game I did it, or if this is something that's sneaking into my game that maybe I need to adjust. I mean, I'm peacocking, right? I'm posing. All right, so then again, frame by frame, you don't have necessarily time to do this on every game, but look, I'm gonna look at my eyes now. The ball, I'm gonna back up just a little. Still my primary area. My eyes are in this, I don't have anything super competitive. As soon as that ball transitions out, look where my vision changes. That's what we're looking at when we're breaking down these plays? Are you looking? Where are your eyes? That's what I mean by that. Like, what are you looking at? And there's a lot of us, and if it's not you, you've worked with them, they're still looking right here. And you don't want to do that. Because if this matchup right here, there's a throwdown or elbow to the chops, the supervisor's calling this official right here, why didn't you get that?
And to piggyback on that, 99% of the time, nothing's going to happen over here where Amy's off ball. But because we need to practice good habits from start to finish, and the more you're doing the right things when nothing goes wrong, when something does go wrong, you're going to revert to your habits and you're going to get to that spot and you're going to see it. It's not, nothing happens over there 99% of the time. No, this is where I'm supposed to be looking. For that 1% of the time that something does happen, you know where you're supposed to be looking, and you're just practicing those habits that you've been doing every single possession.
Yeah. And that's exactly what you're checking if your habits are solid when you're doing this type of breakdown. And again, we just continue moving players in my area. Okay, again, I'm watching this. They're going to come back and potentially set a screen, and I'm looking at it. Great. Like if someone sent me this tape and I'd feel good about it. I'd say you're doing a great job so far in these 2 minutes. And if this is your natural tendency, those habits that Chance are talking about, you're doing the right things. And then this play just continues and we go the other end. Okay, like on this, I would say, did I bail? Because how many of us start to take off as soon as that shot was missed? A lot of us at trail, you can look at trail. It's, I know I'm not the only one out here, but we both kind of stay. He's not bailing, he's repositioning. And lo and behold, the offense gets it, and we're still in position to referee this play. Now we go, and so that's how you break down a play like this to see if your fundamentals are strong. This is one that I would look at on presentation. And if we had an open forum here, I would ask you, okay, what stands out to you? And we're going to look at this official and this official. And so if we had a session, a mentoring session, I'm going to just let it play. Sorry, it'll take a second.
What is this from, Amy?
This is a Irish League FIBA game.
That wall is like concrete.
Yeah, it's cold there,
The COVID isn't getting in there with those walls.
No, absolutely not.
The foul is called.
Okay, let me back up just a little bit. So, just again, as you're looking at this, we're damn critical of everybody else, right? We go, oh my God, look at that stance. Look at, where they're positioned. Like, look at this cat. He's 25 feet off the baseline. We're real good at pointing these things out on other people. You need to be that harsh or that much better in pointing them out on yourself. So, and again, it's not being mean to yourself. It's trying to find places where you can get better. And you go, gosh, why am I so deep at lead there? Is that just this one day I was being deep? Or is this something that I'm doing every game and I need to adjust? Okay, I would, if I'm looking at this official, they're bailing way too far. I mean, here's our 28-foot mark, right? We need to be somewhere within that. So I would, again, I'd see, is this something I do on every possession? They're out of the picture now, like that. We can't have that at any level, junior high, high school, college, or pro. No one's going to believe you if you try to come from here and make a call. And again, so like, I can already hear Chance going, why is this official stepping backwards, and why, like, perpendicular to the sideline. So all these little things that just are huge red flags to me, they have to start getting in your mind, and you have to be that critical on the details. The details matter. And we want you parallel with the sideline as center for a reason. It's not just because someone decided to write it down in the manual. And again, I would break this down and say, all right, the calling official needs to slow down. They're too fast. They're already going to the table. They lose credibility because it's not strong. So that, again, the details on every single aspect of this, positioning, position adjusting, where you're looking, and what you project by how you stand or how you make your call or how you report at the table. We could beat this particular play up forever. There's just so much to look at, but that's what you have to do if you want to get better. Chance, I'm going to jump to your plays because they're a little more about the play calling and that piece. Are you good starting with the coverage play?
Yeah. So she touched on it, but when I start to break down my film, if I have the opportunity and if I have the time, I'll watch the game 3 times. I'm not asking everybody to do that, but I watch it 3 times. For the first time I'm going through, I'm just watching game flow, just overall game flow. As a fan, I can just watch it, jotting down notes, plays that I remember during the game, plays that I see, like something that jumps out to me, bang, but I'll just keep watching the game. Then I'll go back and look at those notes, see the first couple of possessions of the game. I'll look at initial setup. I think she called it just initial positioning, but initial setup of the crew. You'll see a theme with me that I'm trying to see as many plays from as many positions as possible, just because I want to get, as much experience as possible. So if I can experience something through you at trail, you at lead, and myself at slot, I'm going to do that every possession. So let's go through this. Let's break this down like we just started the game. Go ahead, Amy.
I'm going to let it play regular speed, and then I can back it up. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm going to have you pause just on our initial setup.
50 to go third quarter.
Bang.
Jones, the third.
Now, so just freeze frame stuff. That if I freeze it at any time, there's going to be opportunity for someone to be in a bad position. Your head's going to be looking in the wrong spot, even if you just peek over quickly and back. Or if we look at the slot here, the center, you can't see them at all. They're right there behind the white jersey. And that might be just a split second, but we need to minimize those. So I'll watch that from my position at trail. I know I'm in a good position. It's just an easy 28-foot initial setup, just where you're going to start. Leads at a great position, just pretty much a 3-foot posted up. And slot just now we're in a good spot. Just took the initial setup at free throw line extended, but didn't move quick enough and created just that temporary blind spot. We want to limit those temporary blind spots, even if it is just a second off. We miss a lot of plays that happen when we're not looking just for a second. Being stacked, being straight lined, that kind of stuff is not something you could tell. Like if I was to tell my mentor, he asked me, hey, what happened on this play? Or send me this clip. I know why he's asking me to send it to him. And I know I can't say that I was stacked. What I need to say is I allowed myself to get in a bad position. Not being stacked is never an excuse. And breaking down film, seeing your habits of when you're getting stacked and why you're getting stacked is key. Everybody's a little bit different. Now they're maintaining the stack. So let's go forward, and we'll just watching it to try to limit those momentary lapses of being able to see. Pause it. So here I'll watch myself. I'm on ball, which I shouldn't be on ball. even if I'm about to look off of it at trail, it's not even that competitive a matchup. There's no competitive matchups in the lane, but I should have at least peeked off. Lead's about to get into rotation. If they don't bring it back, go a couple, Amy. Pause it. So now, because I felt that shooter coming up to catch, I've worked down 3 or 4 steps. Now I'm not looking at his butt. Now I'm putting myself in a position to see the defender's hands. So you feel that shooter, bang, I'm there before the catch. So watching film, you'll see yourself. You see the guy, right? Stop. The guy, me right there, the fan.
Wait, sorry, you cut out. What?
The fan, can you see that fan eclipsing me? My legs, the one in the front row.
Right here?
At trail. His head, just his head.
Yep.
Yeah, right there. Keep that mark there and go forward a little bit. So if I stay in this position, that's okay. Everyone sees him now. So if I stay in that position that I was in, go forward to the catch.
You would have been right here is what you're saying?
Exactly. So if he does decide to shoot that ball, I have no opportunity of refereeing the play. So if he goes up to shoot and there's a flick on the elbow, I'm just looking at his butt. I'm guessing. So watching film, I was seeing myself a lot of times stay in that position and not being able to take those couple of steps. But because I was seeing that as a habit, I was able to correct it from film review. Okay, go forward.
Jones puts it on the floor. Bounce pass. Orton backdoor for
Pause it.
Williams. Blocked by.
Sorry, Amy.
Yeah,
Go back
no,
right on the post entry. On the post entry.
Yep.
So watching film will also help you understand where other people are refereeing. So pause it. So we have that post entry catch. Everyone should know. Well, I'm sorry, that's not right of me to say. Lead has that post, the defender in the post. I should be helping with the cutter at the elbow, that action area. Correct. And now that we have moving players in the corner, I can take a peek at that as well. Let's go a couple frames forward. So now stop, pause it. Now I'm dead to anything at the basket. Lead is also dead to anything at the basket. So watching film, reviewing a lot of film, you're able to see where you're dead. You can feel it on the court, but when you can visually see it, what just happened? Hold on a second. My thing went away. Did yours go away?
Nope, mine's still there.
Okay, hold up. Maggie. So getting back to that, when you can visually see where your partners are looking, that's another big portion of film. My lead is dead. I'm dead, and my slot's the only person that has an opportunity. I don't have the screen anymore, Amy. So if you go forward and just pause it on the reverse layup.
Yep.
So now at the basket, the only person that has an opportunity on this play is slot. It's going away from the lead. It's going away from the trail. It looks like ball to me, looks like ball to the lead. On the next possession, I asked the kid, I remember this live. The next possession, I asked the defender if he got to the ball or if he got to the wrist, and he said he didn't get to the ball. So we want to minimize those spots. So we talked at length really about what we could do from lead, trail, and slot to get this play. Really, there's nothing that you can do from trail. There's nothing you can do from lead. The only person that has any shot is slot, and she said she's watched this play 100 times. Now she's very, very good at realizing that that's her play, just because. Maggie. Sorry, I'm going to have her come and run this Zoom to try to get that
Are you
screen pulled back up.
still black on the screen?
Yeah. Can you go to the offensive foul and you just break down the offensive foul on the other end. And
Oh,
just
on
break
that
down.
same play?
Yeah. Yeah, come here real quick.
Door for Williams, blocked by Ronaldo Major. Elliott wanted a foul, had something to say about it as well. Casey, Euro step into the lane. That's an offensive foul as he pulled. Something to say about it as well. Casey, Euro step into the lane. That's an offensive foul as he bulldozes.
Are you able to see it? Well, you're blacked out here too.
Black myself because I brought my my tech team in.
Gotcha. Well, I'm just going to throw some things in on this play until you're back up and running. Or do you know what you wanted to hit on this? And I can make it.
Yeah, coverage as far as whose play it is, and thought process.
Okay, so something that I try to emphasize with my staff in the Heart, and something that I think we work really hard at our level, is to know who is responsible for this play. And when we go back to talking about knowing your primary areas of responsibility, it's critical. So I have to know if I'm at center over there, is this my play, or which defender should I be officiating? And Chance at lead has to know who his defender is. And we used to say, you can't have 3 sets of eyes on the ball. Well, when the ball goes into the paint, you're going to have 3 sets of eyes there, but each set should be on somebody different. And so in this case, Chance knows that his primary responsibility is this secondary defender. And if I'm at center, I know that that's Chance's, and I want to be ready to help with the feet for the RA, which in this play, we're not even close, but I know that I've got to help with this defender. And so when I look at my video, I'm gonna try to be honest with myself. Am I looking at the defender or the player that I should be looking at? And then if we take that a step farther and we look at primary whistle versus cadence whistle, and I don't know if we've talked a lot about that with this group or not, but this is Chance's play. And so if I'm at center, I'm going to evaluate whether I gave him an opportunity to put a whistle on this play. And I can tell you my own personal weakness, I've got a whistle on this play if I'm center. And that's something I fight every game. And so but if you don't evaluate it, if you don't know who your primary is or your responsibility, then how can you officiate the right person? Are you back up and live, Chance?
I'm back, baby.
All right, baby. So tell me where you want it.
Yeah, she just covered the play. She covered exactly what I wanted to do. So go ahead and go to the next play, and we'll just break that down.
Okay. I'm going to let it play through.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a play this is an example of a play that I lucked out. Go to where the screen is set. Go a couple frames forward. So she talked about where are you going, Amy?
I'm trying to get a little juice for this iPad.
Let's get just
tell
a touch
me when.
forward.
Right here?
Right now. Yeah. So my action area, what I'm refereeing is obviously that screen. So I have multiple things I have to referee on this play. The screen, and then the defender connected, the on-ball defender. So Carey's coming over at lead. He's doing a great job. It was just kicked there. He's on his way over. I got pause it. If you see my head positioning, I'm still looking at the screen. So the screen is already dissolved. There's nothing there, but for some reason, I've kept my head on it. Now, everyone on this call sees that my problem, the black cloud that I need to be refereeing, is that on-ball defender. So taking another frame, and I believe my head will still be there. I don't know if I just blacked out. I don't even see this play. I feel this play. So it was one of those ones where you just luck out from feel of a play. think there's no possible way he just got from point A to point B without something happening. So this was the first play that I went to when I was breaking down this film. Why didn't I see that play? I had no clue on the floor why I didn't see it. It was because, I believe it was because I didn't trust Carey to get over in time. So I'm refereeing that screen harder than I need to be refereeing it. And then I stay attached to it too long. I lucked out on this play, but we need to be able to see everything that happens. So I'm not going to this play to say, yep, got it right. Because when I went to that film, that was the first time I'd seen that play. That's what we would like to avoid. Amy touched on the call validation stuff. I'm not – there's very few plays that I'm going back to check that I got right. I know the plays I get right. I know the plays that I get wrong because I practice good habits in putting myself in proper position. Any one of us can call a foul on a play that we see. If you see a jump shooter and he just gets ticked on the elbow and you saw it, it's a foul every time. You don't have to go back to the film. You're going to go back to the film on these types of plays, not only to see that I got it right. I literally watched it one time, got it right, good. Now let's see how I can avoid that happening in the future. Because I could have very, very easily not had that play right. It's not a call validation. It's what we can do to fix it moving forward. Okay, we can go to the next play.
You got it.
And if anyone has questions, Ben or Larry, I don't know if you can monitor the questions.
Yeah, no, there's a couple. When we wrap, none in particular. There's one for one of the plays and one just generally speaking. So we'll hit them both. Okay. We'll hit them both after this play. This will be the last one just from a timing standpoint.
Perfect. Okay. So pause it. Amy, since it's the last play, you want to go to that tech play? You think that's better?
Whatever you want to do.
I think so. But you want to go to that
Larry?
one? You were.
Yeah, let's go to the last play of the game.
Okay.
So there, I had a play last year that was tough, to say the least. This is another play that I'm not going for call validation. I'm going to. This was one I was walking to the locker room praying that we had the angle that I had on the floor. So let's just watch this play out. We have a 3-point game. Situational awareness is also another thing you get from film watching. Every time somebody puts a play up there, bang, look down, see the time, and score. Let's run forward. Let's just run the play live.
This is Tech with a chance. Will Kansas foul?
Well, maybe last time.
Moretti for three. Is he fouled? The ball goes out of bounds.
They didn't call no foul.
They
didn't call it.
So I don't know if everyone saw it, but from that overhead look, it just looks like an obvious foul. Obviously, Dickie V thinks it's an obvious foul. Go a couple frames forward. So I'm coming up. We're supposed to stay sideline connected. This is another thing with just overall refereeing. In gamers, there is no magic spot. If you need to get to a spot, you'll never see me in the middle of the floor, possibly the rest of my refereeing career. But here I'm almost on the tee here at trail because I know this pull-up's coming because a kid he comes off that screen, he's going to pull up and get an open three. So I'm looking at my positioning here to make sure. Pause it. I don't know if you can still see me on the frame on your guys' screen, but almost out onto the middle of the floor. We're not looking for call validation. We're looking to see what we did correct. And on this was a little different because I was looking at just to see what angles they had. And luckily they had the correct one. This exact same play happened to me about 4 or 5 years ago, and I missed it. I blew a whistle. Go to the overhead look.
You got it.
I didn't come onto the floor. because I wanted to stay in the spot that I was told to stay in. Sideline connected, 28-foot line.
Worth another look. Let's see.
Here's that look. Still looks like a foul.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
Now
I think that's a foul.
here's our look. You see me work on the middle of the floor to get any look that I could possibly get at this jump shot. Looking at elbow tick, looking at him running through his hip. Go ahead, another frame. No tick on the elbow. We pass it. Let's go a little further. Oh, so this is almost an impossible play to lay off of. Luckily, another thing I was doing was going to my phone to see what our boss said. All that really mattered is he said it was a leg kick play, correct, no ball.
That's a foul.
If I don't practice good habits and break down film constantly as to why I missed this play before and watch it, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times, I never create the look that I was able to create on this play. Because of film review and because of like just wanting to know how I can get the play correct the next time that I see it, and creating good habits every time I see a play like this, luckily it paid off in a pretty tough spot. If I blow on this play, I'm in a lot of trouble. But because we've seen film, we practice good habits, we're able to revert to our good habits in a gamer situation, we got through correct.
And that goes back to creating that library of plays. If you wouldn't have looked at this play before and you didn't have that play in the back of your head, and if you hadn't already analyzed why you missed it in another game, you would look at this and just see that his legs are come out from under him and he's on the floor. But you've analyzed this other play before, so you know to look at this leg, and you look at the defenders going this way, and if you go forward, he's in his natural shooting motion right there, because I know a lot of you on this call are right now going, that's a foul. I know a lot of you are still looking at this going, holy hell, that's a foul. You should have put him to the line. But this is absolutely a no call correct, because he's gone up, and now the only reason there's contact is because he sticks his leg out to catch a defender. Here's his shoe. I mean, I'm just going to draw a line right up his leg. The only reason there's contact is because the offensive player put his leg out into the path of the defender that would have missed him had he not offensively created that contact. And if Chance hadn't studied that on film from his other play and watching other people with similar plays, he doesn't get this play right. And this is where film review and having that catalog of plays can save your tail and make you a better referee. Dickie V still thinks it's a foul, but the boss doesn't. And actually, if you look at the tech coach, he doesn't have a crazy reaction. I mean, he's 3 points away. He's a foul call away from taking the #1 team in the country into overtime. He's going to have a reaction if he thinks it's a foul, but he knows this play too. And if Chance puts a whistle on it, he loses credibility with his boss and with Bill Self or whatever coach this play goes against. And honestly, the coach that it goes for too at some point. He knows he's going to get lucky. But because you've studied film and because you've created a catalog, you get this play right and your credibility goes up with everybody. So that's where this is so important. And it's not just, in this case, the play validation is important because this is a gamer. But again, Chance knows why he got it right, because he had done the work.
A couple of questions there. The reason why Chance is raising his hand is he's signaling a 3-point shot.
Yep, that's one.
And then another question there is that different than a 3-point shooter leaning into a defender that's jumped off the ground? I'm going to answer this from a high school perspective. If the defender goes straight up and the offensive player goes into him, then you either have a player control foul, which is very gutsy, or you have a no call. Particularly since at the end of a game, game awareness, he's trying to draw the 3-point shot and get an and one and or go to the line for 3. And if the defender's straight up, you cannot penalize the defender for doing what he's supposed to be doing. And same goes with that leg kick. If Phil Tomat's still on this call, that's the J. Tomat kick that we called, and he used to get away with it in high school still until we started watching game film.
He was so good at that.
Oh, yeah.
He was so good at that.
Yeah, you have to analyze, like, this defender's never going to make contact with that offensive player if the offensive player doesn't put him into that defender's path.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. That was the point I was going to make is the defender does a great job of avoiding contact here and would have, except for the offensive player coming outside their normal shooting motion and outside their frame to draw it.
Yeah. That whole A to B, kind of go back to the play that someone asked about, jumping into A to B towards a shooter, and then that shooter jumps into him. The defender was never legal because they went A to B towards a jump shooter in their natural shooting motion. This is not his natural shooting motion. And like we said, he wouldn't have made contact had the guy not put his leg out. So, but you know that because you've watched video. If you've never seen a leg kick play before, you're going to put a whistle on this.
Yep.
You are.
I did.
Somebody
But
pops
yeah,
off
you
and
did.
says, the reason why Larry agrees with this call is because he's the KU assistant athletic director, and that's the reason why he thinks this is a good no call.
Hey, don't think it pains me to say that KU is the #1 team in the country since I'm a Missouri grad.
You'd be shocked at the number of times I either in the course of a game go, that's a foul, and it's against KU, like that's a foul. And on plays like this, I'll usually just keep it to myself because I will, get accused of being a homer on it. But I enjoy the amount of basketball I get to watch, both day job and officiating, because I get to see a lot of plays. And I'll get pulled into the office. Hey, Larry, take a look at this one. So I am grateful for it. I use my officiating vision even when I'm watching games and KU is playing, because I want to be prepared if this happens at any level of game that I get to work.
You're a referee through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time figuring out what they're wearing and then how we call in this game. That's what I do.
You just forget, you get paid to be blue, so that's why that happens.
Hey, there's a couple others here too. What would you say is the biggest challenge with officiating different levels from your experience? What advice would you give to those people that may still work high school and college? I'll throw out to get going here is speed of the game.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
You bet. What is the biggest challenge with officiating from different levels from your experiences? What advice would you give to those people that may still work high school and college?
Go ahead, Amy. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think Larry's right to say the speed changes, whether you go from high school boys to college men, and when you go from NAI men or NAI women to Division II men or women, there is a speed change. For me, working across, honestly, 5 different styles of basketball between FIBA and women's college and men's pro and women's pro, there's also a cultural difference. Each game has a different expectation of what is called and isn't called. And in every one of those games, in all 5 of those games, a hit on the elbow or a shooting foul or a block charge is defined pretty much the same way. A little bit of a tweak in the pro game, but what the expectations and what you let players have an opportunity to play through, that changes from league to league.
Let's hear Chance, on your first one, on that first play we looked, on the reverse layup, could the lead have moved towards the basket a bit so they have a better angle to help the slot?
That was another thing we discussed. Yes, in a perfect world, he could have taken a couple steps that way. If you see the way that the play developed, he's in a perfect position. Then that backdoor cut, that baseline cut happens with a quick dump. So there wasn't much opportunity for him to do that after seeing the play a couple times. He could have, yes, maybe taken a step hard. But what we're taught on reverse layups, that as he's going to the other side of the rim, I'm literally in my head thinking red light, red light, red light, red light, so that I stay off the play. Because more times than not, after breaking down film, I was missing those up and under plays. I felt like because it was at the basket, it was mine, when in reality, I probably have the worst look from lead. So as plays go away from you to the other side of the rim, try to be careful blowing, because your percentages are going to go way down on those plays.
Similar to curl plays in that way. If it curls to you, high alert. If it curls away, patience.
Exactly. And then to piggyback on that same point, if it's going away from you at lead, it's coming to you at slot. So at slot, I'm thinking red light, red light, red light, green. As it's coming to my side of the rim, green to me in my head just means I have first crack. So not only do I have first crack, I probably have best look. And if there's a whistle, it needs to come from me. And it just gives me freedom to blow. And it raises my awareness on those types of plays. So yes, lead could have done something, especially if it was, even when I'm saying red light, red light, red light, if I see a foul that needs to be gotten, I'm coming. It's just going to slow me down a little bit. So if he come a little bit late and just mostly get the play right.
The one here, and we didn't have a play about this, but this would have been, again, a good one. I know Amy did some in her breakdowns for her staff. But can you talk about a drive that comes from C's side in a crash that happens in the paint? Who should have the call, C or lead? I'll start that just by saying in our respective disciplines, talking about primary and secondary defenders is a consideration. And as you discuss in pregame, and I'll pass this off to Amy and Chance, as you discuss in pregame about where it originates from, who has the primary defender, picking up the secondary defender, and understanding who on the crew has responsibility for the legal defensive position or the legal guarding position of each of those individuals. So the C staying with generally the primary defender, while the lead is going to pick up the secondary defender and have an opinion on the legality of that person. So that's the general breakdowns. Amy, Chance on that?
Amy.
I was trying to find a play that would demonstrate that. But again, it goes back to, and it's just understanding who you are supposed to referee. Mm-hmm. And like the play that Chance had with the block charge play, if we all know who we're responsible for, then we're going to referee the right person. And so if that's a one-on-one primary defender, the drive starts outside the lane and comes from center side to the basket, that's center's primary whistle, unless that defender gets beat. And now center's still responsible for that same defender. Just now that defender's probably not in front of the offensive player. And like in Chance's play, the secondary defender came over and that's who he's responsible for. So we're both looking at that play. But he knows who he has and I have to know who I have. And I can't tell you the number of times that we'll take a play because hey, these plays aren't that easy, right? If it was, anybody could do this. But we'll take a play and go, who should have that whistle? And a lot of times that's what we're breaking down in the locker room. Like, whose was this? Whose play is this really? And so now you just have to talk through it. But you have to know the fundamental guidelines going into it.
when you see that drive coming from C and you're in the lead, is having that discipline to say, find the secondary. So you're not staring a hole in the ball and then you have two officials on the same matchup. And that takes a ton of discipline and a ton of work to get yourself into that habit. Go ahead, Chance.
No, I was going to agree with you. And then I was looking at a question, since Amy answered that so well. One of the questions, the James Harden question, I don't know if everybody can see that, but it says, why does James Harden get so many 3-point fouls called when he's always the one causing contact, similar to the Texas Tech players? So Harden is very, very good at seeking out illegal defenders. So because he's a step slower, but he's 2 steps smarter than everyone on the floor. They're literally changing rules to adapt to refereeing James Harden, because he sees whenever a defender reaches his hand out and he's getting through it to go up. And not only is he getting through it, but he's getting through it on the way to the rim. So to answer your question, he's very, very good at creating contact on illegal defenders. And then on the other side of that, sometimes they miss them. So sometimes there's a leg kick play that's subtle. You might, like, everyone on this call might see me next year blow a leg kick play that they're going to show on TV 10 times, 10 replays, 10 different ways that I just kicked, because sometimes we're still going to miss plays, but it's limiting those times. So those NBA guys still miss plays, especially on somebody that's as good at creating contact on illegal defenders as he is. Hopefully that answered that.
No, it's a great point. Great point. And then here, for some of us newer officials that don't have access to our own film as much, or may not be able to break it down as well as y'all do, what are some of your recommendations? Heck, find a friend with an iPad who wants to come hang out at a ball game is the first thing I'll tell you. Because that's, as an evaluator, that's one thing I did to be able to to demonstrate shooting a little video, and then I take it in the locker room afterwards, and whether it was just helping to break habits, or sometimes I just film the end of a tight game just so we could go review it immediately. So that's one thing I'll throw out real quick.
Ref Dive is a good place to watch game film that's not yours. On Twitter. You follow that?
And I'm just going to throw in there, I don't know that that Twitter feed or whatever, but be careful of the rhetoric that you hear and what people say about plays, because someone may, their explanation for that play may be from a pro mindset, or it may be from a high school mindset, or it may be from an international mindset. So just make sure that when you hear all this chatter coming in and opinions about a play, just don't assume they're right. You know, just like Dickie V on Chance's play, and he's seen a lot of basketball, he wasn't right on this play. So just keep that in mind wherever you go and you're getting feedback. And especially with COVID, there's so many Zoom calls this year and so many people hosting calls. Just, you know, you got to do a little bit of your own work and then process.
And after he saw that replay for the 3rd time in slow-mo, he admitted that he didn't think it was a foul. But it took 3 times in slow-mo on the overhead view, and he still didn't really retract, but he said, maybe that's not a foul. The question I saw about the film and how to watch it, Amy touched on it earlier of how she used to get her film. When I got in, we had no way of getting film really. So my dad told me the schools have film. They're watching the film. So I would, now in COVID, you can't really walk in, but I would literally go to the office, leave a note for the athletic director, the head coach, and ask for them to send me a film. And sometimes they would just say, yeah, let me get them. And they'd burn me a copy, and I'd just sit there and wait. Now with the digital age, if you can just shoot somebody an email at the school, now I don't know, you can do it behind John's back or whatever, because you don't want to annoy these people, but do it in a professional way and ask for the film. They something that got me, I don't want to say votes, but really got me votes in the right way was coaches saw that I cared to get better. I was, trying to go in direct contact with their ADs, their assistant coaches, just not in a bothering way, but in a way that I was looking to get better, like they were looking to get better. So come at it from a humble, you're just trying to get better and trying to see film, and normally they'll share it with you.
Most of the schools now, because of COVID, have gone to this NFHS access. And so if you're a sub-varsity official and you work in the main gym, most of our schools have that access, and we can get that game film downloaded to Huddle and then get it to you. So just you would have to send an email to myself or Patrick or whoever from the basketball committee is going to be helping us out with that. Obviously, there's a lot of game film we've got to get out, because if you think about it, you got 2 varsity games, 2 JV games, 2 C games, and then 4 freshman games. That's a lot of video to get out, but we have tried quite a bit to get as much video out as we can. Do you have one thing else, Larry?
Yeah, 2-part. One here, they also asked, and this is a great one for Chance here, is what does your workouts look like to get ready for that level of competition, or any level of competition for that matter? Chance, what are some, other than going to see a personal trainer, might be some guys we know, what even at home or in the COVID realm, if you don't feel comfortable going to a gym, what are some areas to work on to prepare yourself better?
Well, I can speak to myself. I do, as I get closer to the season, I'll do more high intensity stuff with just high reps, low weight, whether that's bands, body weight stuff. Especially with us traveling, we can't really go to and from places with weights. So we kind of just do what we can. So in preparation for the season, that's how I'll lift. I'll ride a bike, anything really low impact. Amy boxes. Or just very high impact boxing. Amy had a kettlebell hit her in the head boxing last week, so that's why I say that. But low impact stuff, we're putting enough miles on our knees and hips and that kind of stuff on the floor. So low impact, high intensity training. So you can Google stuff. You can look up HIIT workouts or no weight, high intensity interval training workouts, or get out and ride your bike, do stuff. I have Amy riding bikes, walking up hills, that kind of stuff. Anything that's low impact, keep the weight off your knees. And then I see a nutrition that nutrition comment is correct. If you can't, especially as we get older, you can't outwork out a bad diet. So if you're eating like crap at night, or your body can't recover the same way that it needs to, you might be able to work off calories, but it's not going to recover and be able to make it through a season. Really, if somehow my dad's still in great shape, he still referees 7 nights a week, it feels like, last season, every single night, just because he's done so good for so long, he's able to still do that. I know he's going to say I'm not that old, but just keep the miles off your knees is pretty much what I would say.
Awesome. I think. Oh, wait, let's see, one more here. Nutrition. Yeah, we talked about that. Awesome. And we're done with the Q&As there. John, I think we are square.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being on, particularly Amy and Chance and Larry. The 3 of you have always been very grateful and helping us out, helping me out. I can tell you, Amy's very true. She does not like golf. I had the pleasure of playing in a golf tournament with her and Chance over the summer, and her first words out of her mouth were, "I don't do this very often." So, but we had a good time.
Yeah.
She likes everything that comes with golf. She likes the activities that come with golf.
Yes.
This is true. And I did play a lot in the bubble because it's all we could go do, but I'm still horrible. Horrific.
But no, I mean, like I said, I've been very blessed to have the 3 of you guys help contribute over the last couple of years. You talked about creating a library of plays. I mean, if I do something And I start to think, I said, oh, crap, Chance told me to stop here. Don't keep moving. Or, Larry or Amy, whoever's been watching our game films over the summers and helping us out during our clinics, it does. It happens in the back of your head. You're thinking, don't take this step, go that direction. And when you've got that category of plays to go, and by no means do I claim to be anywhere near any of their level.